Black Myth Wukong is the latest game to not just arrive on GeForce Now, but break some serious records online. Hitting over 2.2 million concurrent players, the game has made a major splash, and it's easy to see why after checking it out firsthand. Everything in this video is the game running off a GeForce Now Ultimate instance that maxed out settings with ray tracing on, DLSS, and frame generation running at 1440p. Right off the bat, let me talk about the visuals. Due to running on Unreal Engine 5, Black Myth Wukong is a visual showpiece for sure, and one that happens to be pretty demanding if you want to get the most out of it. Luckily, GeForce Now's Ultimate tier has everything you need to take advantage of all the features. That said, even with all that power, well, this game is still pretty demanding. With ray tracing on very high, maxed out settings, DLSS, and frame generation at 1440p, you can typically average around the 110 to 120 frame rate mark in most settings. That said, turning off either frame generation or DLSS will see you dropping into the 60s and below. Of course, bumping the resolution to 4K will also drastically decrease frame rate as well. In my personal testing, I prefer running the game at 1440p to aim for that 120 FPS mark with all the bells and whistles added graphics wise. I will note though, there is certainly a lot of room to play around here, and I'm sure different folks will prioritize different things, so to each their own. One thing I do want to mention about the visuals though is that when there are a lot of effects and vegetation on screen, there is a slight blur and compression that can be seen if focused on. This sort of thing does tend to happen a lot in cloud gaming, especially in big open world settings, and if you can up your bitrate in your GFN settings, I really would recommend it as it helps combat this. But honestly, this is the type of thing that some players may not even notice, especially when focused on combat or the gameplay in front of them. That said, I did figure it'd be worth mentioning for those that do care about this sort of thing. Frame rate aside though, I'd be doing the game some serious injustice by not mentioning the pure spectacle the game puts on for show right at the start. Seriously, this is God of War levels of epic and grand boss fights. It really does set the tone for the type of epic adventure that lies ahead and really pushes just how far and grand in scope it all is. Personally speaking, this left me super excited for the journey that lies ahead, and I can't wait to get back to playing it soon after finishing this video. But I did have to pry myself away to make this video for all of you wondering how the game's running on GFN after all. Once again, this is just the first impressions to give you an idea of what the game looks like more than anything, so I can't speak too much about the story or how well it's done, but I will point out that it certainly feels somewhat refreshing to experience. That's probably due in part to the game being made by a Chinese studio and the story being inspired by Journey to the West, which is by far considered one of the greatest classic Chinese novels. I'm really excited to see where the story goes and how it gets told, but even more so than that, it certainly has me pumped to see what else comes out of China in terms of games. The massive success of Black Myth Wukong is sure to inspire more to follow, and I'm really glad they seem to have hit the mark and reached such mainstream success for that reason alone. Now, putting everything together, based on all of this, would I recommend picking up Black Myth Wukong and checking it out on GFN? Of course, but with the caveat being that if you want to play it at its best, to do so with the Ultimate tier subscription. This is a title that can take full advantage of all that power after all. And while I can't tell you the entire game is good as I'm making my way through it myself, the rave reviews, insane player counts, and online discussion seems to be more than enough to get people both interested and picking it up while talking about it. All in all though, the game looks, feels, and plays good, and if you've been excited to check it out, GeForce Now offers one of the best ways to do so. I mean seriously, it's one of the best ways to play the game at the lowest upfront cost with the perfect quality to boot. It's the type of title that really showcases the strength of what the cloud gaming space can offer and bring to the table. Running a game like this at maxed out settings with a good frame rate requires a hefty gaming PC or sacrifices to be made to play it at a lower fidelity on a weaker PC or console that won't sustain 60 FPS. It's an exciting time to be a cloud gamer, and between this and some other major titles that lie ahead like Final Fantasy 16, there's just never been more excitement to be had. Either way, that wraps up this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. As always, thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a great day. This has been Steven from Anytime Anywhere Gaming, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.